Hush, dog. Hush. Roxy, come here. See it. You see it. We ain't got nobody on here. Yeah, we got some people starting to join in. Somebody drove up, and the dogs is going crazy at the moment. So I was kind of letting them settle down. Get chat pulled up here. It's hard for me, y'all, to read the comments coming up on that screen. And Brody's been watching stuff on here, so it's been. Alright, I see all of you now. Kevin Wilson, how are you? I hadn't heard nothing out of you in a while. Jerome Smith, Tony, Backyard Beasley, Eric and Barbara Fleming. Who have I got, Eric or Barbara? Both of you? It's hard sometimes to know exactly who all's here. I done put my pajamas on, went and had to shave and all such as that. I don't like looking scruffy. Them stubble beards drive me nuts, y'all. I can't handle it. A full beard I'm okay with, but when I start getting like quarter-inch hair on the side of my face, that's and it looks to me I can't. Some folks like it, more power to you. I can't handle it. I want to either be slick or clean shaved. So I had to go in there and shave, and I put my pajamas on. I said I'm in the house for the night. I'm relaxing. But we're going to go live. We're going to have a good time, talk about whatever y'all want to talk about. It is rained this morning. We had probably about 2 inches of rain come through. Maybe not quite that much. It didn't rain a lot. We got a pretty heavy rain, but it didn't rain a long time. And it moved out, cleared off, was sunny and beautiful all day long, and temperature was decent most of the day. Late this evening, wind picked up, started howling, and the temperature is plummeting. So it is going downhill fast. There's my buddy right there. Tell him hey. Talk to him.
Hello. Hello.
You showing out tonight? You being a good boy? We may eat some cake in a little bit, reckon?
That's my cake.
His mama cooked a cake. He helped cook it, and he said, that's my cake. And he's forbid me to eat a bite of it. But I waited till he wasn't looking and cut me a slab off. You didn't know I ate a slab of your cake? We got another cake out there in the refrigerator Mama made the other day that we hadn't eat all of either. I need to eat it before it burns.
Yeah. Hello.
Jerome Smith, I ain't bought a can of shaving cream in 10 years.
Bye.
It's just how mean I am. I really ain't. I never use shaving cream. I did use soap for a little while, and I quit using it. If I shave in the shower, I rub soap on there. No shaving cream. I get a razor and wet it, and I like to hear it go. Backyard Beasley, I am ready to catch some crappie. And the talking about Temu, I know there's a lot of people that don't like Temu. The reason I'm doing Temu, and I've mentioned this a couple of times, but a lot of people want to know why you put it's cheap. The whole reason for doing Temu is because there's a lot of people that they look at some of this stuff and it's really cheap. Well, is it worth having? I mean, because usually when something's cheap, it's junk. Well, we're going to find out. And I'm doing collapsible fishing pole. They wanted me to do fishing gear. I wasn't sure how they was going to do. They told me outdoor gear, but I didn't know what they wanted, so I chose fishing gear. So I ordered a mini rod, a mini reel, and a collapsible rod to go on it. I already have a Temu reel, an open face reel that I didn't have a rod to put it on. So I ordered another collapsible rod to put that on. We'll see if it'll catch a grinnell or something, or bass. I ordered a bunch of jigs, a bunch of hooks, a bunch of jig heads, jigs with underspins, a bunch of stuff to go crappie fishing. So soon as all that gets here in a week or so, we are going crappie fishing. And I ordered another bag that I'm going to use strictly as a tackle bag. And I'm going to put my tackle in it, backpack, strap the reels to it, and we're going to walk some of them creeks down there in the swamp. And I may tow the shotgun when I go, and we may get in a canoe. I don't know. And we're going to hit some of them crappie holes up. Now, there's a good bit of water down there now, but now it will drain out probably. But I am ready to go fishing. I'll be honest with y'all. This year, I have just not got in the frame of mind of excited about hunting. And I guess it's because I got such a late start to get to go, and I don't know. I'd rather fish, and I'm already right now excited about fishing. We're gonna do some cat fishing. I'm about ready to start putting out lines. I like it. I love fishing. Eric, tell her we'll run our fingers down the chalkboard next. I don't have one. Philadelphia, Mississippi, Corey. We are live right in front of your eyes. Deer steak sure looks good. Make me want to get my old one-eyed beagle and come home. Old one-eyed beagle will do it now. I've seriously thought about putting out some rabbit snares. Usually we use a one-eyed beagle to get our rabbits around here, but that ain't quite legal. I have seriously thought about it. I know y'all probably saw Dave Canterbury made some rabbit snares the other day, and I thought, I ought to make some and go put them out on some of these trails back here and catch me 4 or 5 rabbits, and so I can put them up, take them camping, and cook them on campouts and stuff, but I need to cook a rabbit. Kevin Wilson, I have seen several canoes on Facebook Marketplace. Rebecca, talking about Temu, I ordered this pair of AirPods off of there. I give $5 for these things. I strictly use them because that Mac Mini has Bluetooth, and it's got a place to plug in headphones. Well, if I plug in my corded headphones, I can't lean back here and work on my video. I like to be comfortable while I'm working on videos. And I was transferring images over, and I've got YouTube Studio pulled up there. But I Bluetooth these to it, and they work fine. I will say this: I've took them on the road when we were traveling and listened to books through them. The audio is not great. They are not going to compare in audio quality for your music listening pleasure. I was listening to a book on them, and I noticed some of the apps, the high pitches would never about hurt your ears. So the sound quality is not the best, but they work fine, and the battery seems to last decently. I use them just for that, but for $5, I mean, really, I'm not one of these, hey, I need a name brand expensive, to impress people. That kind of stuff it's not. When I was a teenager in high school, I wanted name brand shoes, name brand pants. I had to fit in. And now that stuff does not interest me not one bit. What people think about me because of my appearance I like to look like I care, but like trying to have name brands, that don't bother me. Jimmy Sullivan, we need to plan to go. Me and you need to go down here and put some limb hooks out, and we can take one of these John boats and run them. We'll go over there and run them off of 19 one day. There's some good fishing over that way. I hadn't fished a lot of it very much. But now what we really need to do is load up and go to Tom Bigby. Need to plan to just come on up there with me. And we'll run some show enough jug lines and limb lines and trot lines. I'm going up there soon to crappie fish. I want to go to Pickinsville, put my camper up, and I want to stay about 2 or 3 days while it's still cold and hunt crappie. But when I cut that deer liver out of that deer the other day, I was thinking about limb hooks the whole time. And I already got some in the freezer from last year's deer. And I may get another one this year. Our season goes to middle of next week. And then it's primitive weapon. I've got the 45-70 and plenty shells. And they're actually, my 45-70 shells are loaded with black powder. So I can hunt till middle of February apparently. Well, Rebecca, congratulations. Get you a new truck. I'm proud of you. Jeff, how are you, buddy? I am doing wonderful. I have, for the last 2 days, I've been trying to piddle around and get all our cold weather stuff. Today I went out to the garden and cut all the cabbages up, which I gave my mom and dad. I told her to go up there and get what you want of them, actually. And I think she cut 3 or maybe 4, I don't know. And I went out there today and cut what was left and put in the refrigerator. We don't eat that much of it. Mom and them cook and, cook meals, and they feed and help and take care of my uncle and feeding him. And they cook more of that stuff than we do. But we cooked one of them tonight, cooked some cabbage. I like it skillet fried with some bacon or ham or sausage or whatever in it. And that's the way I like cabbage the best. But I've been prepping that. I picked a big bag full of turnip greens. I take like a crawfish bag. They're mesh bags, and they'll be like this big and that big around. And I pack it full of collard greens. Well, I didn't put no collards in. I put mustard greens and turnip greens together in it. And I found one turnip that was this big around, y'all. I picked it and laid it out down there, and I'm sure there's some more of that big down there too. But I packed it full, and I don't know if I'm going to cook them down or if I'm just going to stick the whole bag in the refrigerator for right now and keep them, because this cold weather coming this next week will wipe that out. All that stuff will just down to nothing, because it's going to be cold so many consecutive days, and then down to, they saying like 9, 11, 12 degrees, somewhere along in there. So I don't know exactly what it's going to do, but Larry Alexander, we can use primitive weapon, which is, I'd have to pull it up. It is pre-1860s, I think, something model guns that are single action. They have to hold one shell, and they can, I think right now it consists of a 45-70, a 444, a 35 Wheeling, and they may be another cartridge. I think you can use maybe like a 45 110, but it's those type cartridges that were initially made as black powder cartridges. They can be smokeless powder. I just went back to loading black powder because I like it. But yeah, you can use those few cartridge guns. You can't use any lever guns. Like I can't. It specifies single action, so I can't take a 45 lever action gun down there and hunt with it. Not really. Not during the primitive weapon season. That whole management area, that WMA, used to be primitive weapon only the whole year. Just last year was the first year you could use a centerfire rifle of, modern rifle. I could always use the 45-70, which is what I always hunted with. And I've got a Thompson Center up there, and I got a Buffalo Classic. So I probably will hunt with the Buffalo Classic. Unless I am riding a canoe, I take the Thompson Center because it's a lot shorter and I can handle it in that canoe a lot better. Backyard Beasley, I seen some guys, I watched some videos on building DIY and those drawer deals. And I seen some of them putting those Teflon strips for them to slide on. So I don't know. I don't know where to get all of that stuff they using, but yeah, the foam board bottom works good. My thing is, I wanted to build mine completely out of non-wood products so that I didn't have to worry about it rotting and getting wet. I wish I could afford to just order me a deck and put it in there, but man, them things like $1,500, and I don't know. I honest to God, might just build me a box that I can crawl up in there and open up on the inside and put my stuff in there where I can lock it and be done with that for now instead of dead, because you can always put a cot in there, but I don't know. I'll have to see what I want to. My biggest thing right now with the truck is I need to be able to keep like jumper cables, a chain, a few odd and end things that you need in an emergency, if you break down or whatever. Tow strap, need a couple of ratchet straps always in there to just keep in the truck to have, and not waiting somebody can't just steal it. So I'll have to figure out what I want to do, I reckon, with it. Rebecca, I got the rain on it today. That tarp is waterproof. Now, I'm going to have to put a center rib down the top of that thing because it caught water and it sat there like a pond today. And after it sat there an hour, it started dripping through. So I got in there and pushed it up and let it all run off. But now it was dry under the tarp. It rained in the front end and the back end because I just had the things draped down. So if I actually pull it up to camp, I'm going to have to pull those flaps and I'm going to pull the front one up on top of the cab and tie it off to stakes or to the door handles or something. And then the back, I'm going to fix it probably where I take another tarp with me and pull all of that stuff out into like a big awning behind it. And that way the water comes out and off. I'll figure it out, but for the most part, I probably won't be camping in no heavy rain, no way. But I usually watch the weather before I'm going camping because who wants to sit in a tent all day, can't get out and do nothing because it's raining. So, but now I have been camping and it come up a rain shower at night and be gone. So then in the summer we get them little pop-up showers a lot. Running Bone, and you ain't missed nothing. We just getting kicked off him. Season is closed in Virginia. I think season has closed most everywhere except these few southern states. And ours used to completely go out at the end of January. This year, they have pushed the primitive weapon on over into February. That is the first year we have done that. And I didn't realize it till the other day when I had it pulled up on my app looking at the seasons. Jim Green, I'll be honest with you. I have no clue if that deer had been bred or not. But now I'm getting the meat. It really makes no difference to me. I can't see where it's going to affect the deer itself. Now I had somebody commented one day that they done bred. You ought not kill them then. Now they ain't gonna have little ones. Well, if I killed her to early part of the season, she wasn't gonna have no little one then neither. So I mean, I don't think that's what you're asking. I don't think it affects the meat or anything like that. So, I mean, it don't bother me. But now I am not a biologist. I don't know what all it does. So I can't sit here and tell you I'm right or I'm wrong. But if I see a deer, I'm gonna shoot it and eat it. Because really, I'm a meat hunter now. If there's a doe walks out and I see a buck following her, I'm going to choose to shoot the buck if he's a legal buck. But I mean, I'm not opposed to shooting the doe if I'm trying to bring meat home, and that's mostly what I'm doing. I'm slowly getting to where, like this year, me thinking, man, there's a buck. Now I know of 2 or 3 places, and I videoed some big scrapes. I could go back to those areas and hunt hard and probably kill that buck, and they just not worrying me this year. I'm really waiting for deer season to kind of get out so I can go squirrel hunting, because then I don't have to worry about people scolding me about orange vest and such as that. And I'm going to tell y'all, you'll never convince me that that deer can't see that orange vest. Now, he may not see it as orange, it may be black and white or whatever, but he spots that vest. It stands out. He sees that. And I tell you why I know. Every time I have had an orange vest on, them deer got up and was running. This deer, I didn't have that orange vest on because I was in the area there was nobody else at. And I wasn't going very far. I wasn't traipsing all over everywhere. And I done looked, there wasn't nobody else in the woods. And that deer, I seen it and walked right up there in range of it. After I spotted it, I moved up 3 or 4 trees. She never saw me, and I shot her. So, and I have done that in the past several times. And that's why you see, when I'm filming during squirrel season, I film several deer every squirrel season. Why? Because I don't have no orange on. And I wear orange most of the time, especially on this public land, because it just... And I was on the public land the other day. I just wasn't in an area where there was anybody. But I got scolded for it. Appalachian Explorers, we'll hold on to it long as we can. I'm afraid, though, I ain't going to be able to get a rain on it. Hold that cold weather over here. But now the cold don't bother me. The wind drives me nuts more than anything. I can deal with cold. Eric, I have not put the canoe on there yet. In fact, I was looking at it, at how flat all that is and how my canoe has a slight curvature to how all that's going to fit if it's going to set up there and rock. Now, I did put pipe insulation down the edges of my canoe to where when I do put it up there, it's already going to be padded. And then that'll also solve my laying the paddle around and bumping that canoe while I'm fishing and hunting. Cold in Arkansas, I bet it is. I have been watching the Weather Channel over here, and they got snow, and I seen Michigan was getting hammered, and not only them, a lot of the other Midwest up across there, but they were just happened to specifically be talking about Michigan a while ago when I was looking at it. I don't just sit here and watch it nonstop, but... Charlie Pickerel, how do I feel about losing Coach Saban? I really expected him to have done left, and it don't really bother me because honest to God, I did not watch not one football game this year. I did realize they made the playoffs and lost the playoff game. I never watched a game. I like Alabama. I want Alabama to win, but I'm not going to sit down and watch it, so it don't bother me. I'm glad he's retiring because at his age, he needs to... He's as good a coach as he ever was, I think. He may not be... At some point in a man's life, you start losing some of your sharpness. I don't know whether he was or not, but they have not really been successful in the last several years. I mean, they've been good. They've been good enough, but... he wasn't the king of kings to me. He is a good coach. I've got a picture in here that he signed with my name on it. It was hanging on my wall. In fact, it's right up here. My brother-in-law got me this picture for Christmas. I'm trying to get the light out of it. But you can see right there, well, I can't see over the picture, and turn it at an angle. But it's got my name, got Coach Saban. It says to Justin. And they had wrote him, and got it, told him I was a big fan at the time. And this was several years ago that I got this. He was a great coach. He was probably better than Paul Bear Bryant. Alabama will get another good coach. I always said when Coach Saban retired, I was for Kirby Smart. I like Kirby Smart. Kirby Smart is an excellent coach. Dabo Swinney is a good coach. He's at Clemson. They trying to keep him from going to Alabama. But Dabo Swinney is an Alabama boy. He went to school at Alabama. And I'm not opposed to him coming there. But as far as me really caring, it's not going to affect me one way or other. I don't watch it anymore. I do keep up with it, but I don't know. When all the politics infiltrated to the sports, I was done with it. I walked away. But not only that, I felt like I was putting too much attention to it and too much excitement into football, and spiritually I felt like I was a little wrong for that, and I felt like, it's time to let this go and give it up. So, it didn't surprise me when I heard Michelle come in here and said, Coach Saban retired? I was editing a video. I said, no, I didn't have a clue. So I pulled it up on Facebook. Of course, it had flooded Facebook, and everybody's cracking jokes and making, but I think a lot of the other teams around locally, especially in the Southeastern Conference, are more happy to see him leave than Alabama is sad to see him leave, because Alabama will bring in another excellent coach. They got the means of doing that, and they'll have another good coach. Now, it'll probably be 3, 4, 5 years before they're decent again. I mean, that's an expectancy, but it don't bother me. It really don't. It is like I heard one comedian. I'm trying to think of what he's on Instagram more than anywhere, but he's on all platforms. I follow him on Instagram more. But he said Alabama hit the lottery twice with Bear Bryant and Nick Saban, and had two of the best coaches to ever walk the sideline of a football field there, and that's true. But they won't. It won't matter. It don't really matter to me. Not really, not at all. Rebecca, I'm curious about that. How would you know if it had been bred? I am not a biologist. I do think you can tell. I mean, I do, but I don't know how to tell. I don't know what's going on. It kicked me off for a second. I had to reconnect. Y'all still there with me? I have been sitting in the woods and seen deer that I would have shot, wanted to shoot a doe, and then get to thinking about, you know what, it's cold. I'm going to have to skin it in the cold, which now we've got a covered skinning shed that's got a heater in it. I can turn that gas heater on, and that makes it a lot more pleasant. But I have talked to myself out of shooting a deer, sitting there looking at them, because I'm like, you know what, I'm going to have to drag it. I'm going to have to clean. I just don't feel like cleaning one today. And not shoot a doe, So I don't have a problem. I can shoot one and that's all I want to clean right now. Yeah, JL327 squirrels see that blaze orange, but I'll say this. Now, I have been sitting still beside a tree with an orange vest on and squirrels running everywhere. The squirrel is more focused on, are you moving or not? If you're moving, boom, they gone. The deer is like, something ain't right. Something ain't right. And they looking and they smelling, and they gonna smell you. And once they've smelled you and know you in that area, they may not be scared, but they're kind of alert. And then once they see something that don't fit, they gone. And that's why that what that orange vest does is pick you out real quick. And if you move with that orange vest on, well, they seen that. Uh, if you're sitting dead still and you're not moving and you got that orange vest on, you get away with it, I feel like. And I'm sure they don't see it as bright fluorescent orange, but it is a contrast to what is around it. It does not blend in. So, yeah, that's my opinion. I'm not, like I said, I'm not a biologist. I'm not no scientist. Here's my question. How do they know what an animal can see? Can somebody answer me that? I mean, that's like dogs. People say, well, dogs can't see this and can't see that. Well, I shared a picture of Gideon, the Rottweiler, watching me on YouTube. I mean, she sent me videos. Gideon is dialed in to the camera watching Roscoe. He sees Roscoe walk across the screen and he follows him across the screen. It is hilarious. So, how do you know what animal can see? They assume this, that, and the other, but I don't know that they really know anything. They might. I mean, I don't know. Joe Douglas, glad to have you. Welcome to the family. I'm behind on the comments, y'all. Tennessee Smoky. David Russian. Vicky, how are you? Good to see you. Maiden 13, welcome. Welcome to the family. We are one big family. We pull for each other on here. Brenda Bryant. Whiskey River catfishing. Whiskey River catfishing, I used to be good with a slingshot. I have put them down, but now when I was a youngin', I tell you what, we used to have Chinaberry ball wars. Y'all know what a Chinaberry ball is? They bite like I don't know, like a marble size, but they're green. And we used to put them in them homemade slingshots, and I always had I don't know who I saw that, I guess Dennis the Menace in a cartoon or something, he had a slingshot. And I thought, man, I got to have one. And I made one and toted it everywhere, and I could hit with it. And I had killed birds and stuff with it, but we would my mom would throw them old flats away after she pulled them off a jar and throw them out they had a scrap pile. They hauled the scrap to the scrap yard every so often, so they had a metal scrap pile. We'd go get all them flats that she had done used that wasn't sealing good. We'd set them up out there on a tree and shoot at them with our slingshots. That was our target. But we'd get them Chinaberry balls and have a war and shoot each other with them. But we shot so much I could hit with a slingshot. But now I got one out the other day when I was shooting, and I was trying to show Brody about it, and he wasn't really interested in it because he couldn't pull it back. But I couldn't hit like I used to could with it. But yeah. But Tennessee, I have never done any actual hunting with a slingshot. I hadn't. Charlie, I heard somebody saying that like if you wore blue, that it stood out the most. My only discrepancy with that is Fred Bear hunted in blue jeans and a flannel shirt. So the deal is those colors are kind of darker, and you can kind of choose colors that blend in. I mean, I'm not no fan of designer camouflage. I do think camouflage is important, especially for the smaller game, because a squirrel spots your movement. Well, the more camouflaged you are, the less he realizes you're moving. Um, but I don't. I'm more about blending in, not designer matching camouflage. So I don't know. I'll be honest with y'all, I hate orange. It is important. It is a safety thing. And with as many people in the woods that don't know what they're shooting at and what they're doing, I mean, you need it. You really do. It's a good thing. But that don't stop me from just not liking it. I feel like animals see me wearing it. I feel stupid with camouflage on and a bright orange vest over it. I mean, I feel like a complain too much, but I guess I'm like everybody else. I got. Where did David get the inner tube? You talking about David and Goliath? Oh Lord, Lord, Lord. Backyard, the scent is number one with deer. Scent is by far number one. Because I have had deer start smelling and go to stomping and looking around and hunting me, and I knew I was well camouflaged. And especially during bow season, you trying to get them within that 20-yard range. Really, I mean, people shoot deer at 40 yards with a bow. I'm not gonna shoot that far at a deer. I ain't gonna do it. So I'm trying to get that deer within 20 yards. I might shoot 25 or 30 if I think it ain't coming no more and I really want to shoot them. And you make decisions and stand, but I'm trying for that 20-yard or less shot. I'm trying to let him get in there and it's hard to do at times. Scent control is tough. And then if they ever see you move, I will say this. I heard one guy saying that he toted leaves, and he would put leaves between every finger of his hands and wear them. And he said if that deer spotted him, he would drop one and let it fall to the ground. And he said that deer would, oh, okay, that's what I saw, and go on. So, I don't know if that works, but I heard somebody, and I've thought about trying it, but I hadn't never actually tried it. So. Vicky, I'm with you on the cold weather. I love cold weather. I love to sit and watch my fire going. And I'm going to confess to y'all, somebody, I don't know if who asked last week, started talking about books. I have been this week reading, and I can't even call the name of it, a Shakespeare play, the Andronicus or something. And it's been confusing, but I enjoy reading it. But I sit and watch my fireplace when I ain't uh, editing videos. I spend more time sitting right here editing videos than anything. Yeah, Whiskey River. In fact, I was either on Temu. I think on Temu, I seen a roll of that rubber elastic. I don't know how long it was. That looks like the stuff that was on slingshots. And B, I like to make things, and I thought, I ought to buy me a roll of that where I could make some good, because now the rubber inner tube is not as elastic as some of them old car inner tubes. If you can find them old car inner tubes, they had a rubber elastic to them. I've got some out there like bicycle inner tubes and stuff that I've pulled out, and they just ain't that great anymore. And every time I put a slingshot, I'll put a new thing on one you buy at Walmart and hang it up out there. And then by the time I start shooting it, I break it because it's done sit there and dry rotted. So, but yeah, I know two slingshots down there that are those store-bought wrist rockets. You know, they come up over your arm and then down and up, and that was what I used to be deadly with them. I've killed birds and stuff with them when I was a young'un. Now, I hadn't shot one to a mount to anything in a long time, but I need to pick it back up. Tennessee, or Larry, I did see the nipple slingshot thing. I also seen the thing where I think Dave Canterbury had some where they was shooting arrows out of them, and that appeals to me. Setting one up to where I could put it in a boat and not have to deal with a big old bow and shoot at fish with it. Now that I would enjoy that. Now I think. Charlie, I may need to come out there and hunt with you then. If you ain't gotta have an orange. We need it here in this public land swamp. That I hunt in really. Now a lot of times when you see me without orange, I'll be on my personal private land, and I mean there ain't nobody else on it, so it don't matter. But now if I'm down there on the public land, especially hunting in areas where there's other people hunting, I'm gonna have it on because honest to God, that swamp ain't that big. I know a lot of people think, oh, that's this huge amount of land, but it's a narrow strip that runs 10 miles, and everybody's on top of each other, spread out down there because it ain't but a half a mile wide. And I mean, I've several times walked up on somebody. People will go over here and park, and they'll walk a long ways around the road thinking they getting way off in the woods and don't realize they done walk right back out up on the other road over here that's coming the other way. And you get out and don't walk nowhere, and there sits somebody, and you go, now where'd they come from? And they thought, man, I walked way off down in there. And it just, you don't get away from people. Yeah, backyard, that's the truth. You get shot wearing it. But if you got somebody that you need to get rid of, you just take them hunting with you and have a hunting accident. Oh, well, he shot him. That's the way they do. That's the way they look at it. I wonder if that ain't really what's happened to some of them people. Now I know there have been some people. There was a man here years ago that shot his grandson. And man, that was awful. He lived, but the grandson had some permanent damage, I think. T.A. Davis, when I start editing on and I have used this iPad. No, I have not. I have not edited on the iPad because it's hard to transfer your footage from one device to the other. Now I can take my phone and hook to that and transfer it to this computer, but I'm using iMovie on my phone. When I edit on my phone, I just use iMovie. I have got my logo thing, and I put it at the front every time, and I put it on Ken Burns and make it zoom, like, which sometimes I reverse it, make it go, and then I do like 6 to 7 second clips for my B-roll, and I just find something that looks cool and get, and I get a couple of them to run through, and I just crossfade everything or dissolve from clip to clip, and I go through and do that between everything, and then when I get to my footage, I just start cutting off the ends and where I reached up and turned the camera on and off. But iMovie works good for that. Now if you're trying to get fancy with stuff like some of these bigger channels do and do all this other stuff where they're adding picture in a picture and words coming up on there, I can put words up there, but to make them look all kind, it ain't that impossible. Now, I make all my thumbnails with Canva. Canva's a picture app, and it's got those where I can put my logo into a circle and change the word, what the letters look like on it, and you can put picture in a picture over it. And I build all my thumbnails on Canva and then download them and swap them over. So it's free as well. Now, I think there is a paid version of it, but that's just what I use. I don't necessarily think that it's probably the best, but it works and it's free. And for me, what I do, I don't really need more than that. But I use iMovie on everything right now. I had VideoPad Editor to start with, and it backed up a pile of files on this Mac Mini. This has got a 1 terabyte drive in it, and it started telling me I needed to delete footage to save a video, and I was like, what? And I got to looking, and that video pad editor, every video that I put on there and made, it backed up every file into a folder, and I could not delete it. Now, I'm sure there was a way, but I could not. I didn't figure out how, and I just erased the whole thing, and then I had to download the Clean My Mac app and pay for it to wipe everything off of there and get all that useless mess off my computer. And once I'd done that, I said, well, I ain't using it no more, and I'll be doggone, I had to pay it. It's like $20-something every 3 months for that thing, and they charged me again for it after I deleted it, so I've got to figure out how to get that stopped. So let me see where I'm at on comments. I'm trying to read them and keep up. For all good things, how are you? Freezing in Missouri. I think we fixing to be freezing down here before long. I'm not. I'm gonna have me a fire rolling. I got plenty of firewood stashed up. I walked around today pouring water out of jars and buckets, and like I had a mason jar full of water out there that I was using doing stuff out there on my workbench. I poured that out, gathered all my leather dye and all that up, carried it in the shed, and I just trying to think of everything that needs doing. It's like pump up sprayers. That's another thing you don't think about. Well, you need to empty all them out and make sure there's no fluid in the nozzles, or it'll freeze and bust all that mess. And, I mean, it's hard to think of every little thing that needs doing before hard cold comes in. But we getting it done. For all good things, don't feel bad. My fat thumbs do that all the time. I do my best editing on comments after I've done hit send. I had to go back and fix words. Oh Lord, I knew I wasn't the only one done that. Eric, if he got shot with an arrow, they done that on purpose. Cause they was looking at him good. A bullet, going through. Hey, I like to shot a fellow squirrel hunting. Me and Casey was down there, and we had done split up and went hunting, and we'd been shooting in this one area of the woods. There's like a big loop in the, so we shooting in there. They knew we was shooting in there. Of course, we was shooting a good bit and killed several squirrels, and it's probably why old boy come slipping up in there with us. But that was his stupidity, because me and Casey had done made our big loop, killed several squirrels, and met up. And we was both walking out, and we seen a squirrel hopped up on the log, and it started running down that log, and I had a .22 rifle. And I said, "Tow, tow, tow." And by that time I looked, and there was a man took off running on the other side of that log. Well, I stopped shooting. He didn't have no orange on. We don't have to wear orange squirrel hunting. I guess they think, all the squirrels are up in trees, but, all of them ain't. A lot of them's on the ground. Well, he cut out running, and I never did see him no more. He disappeared, but I said, well, he was kind of foolish, because, it ain't like we wasn't shooting over here. He knew we was there, and we had not heard him shoot at all. So, it's like that. And that's one reason I'm not a huge fan of this public land down here. It's just when hunting season goes in, it gets overpopulated, and that's why I don't camp down there and stuff. And that's why when I do camp, I like everything camouflage and brown where I can hide my camp. It ain't that I'm not supposed to be there. I don't want somebody up there to see my camp and go over there and start pilfering around if I happen to be off doing something else. Brody don't have no clue it's gonna snow yet. I got a video popped up on my memories on Facebook today when Brody was he was probably a year old. He couldn't even talk. And he's standing there, and it had snowed, and I took him out there, and he didn't like it. And we come back in, and I said, Brody, you don't want to go play in the snow? And he said, I said, you don't like it? He said, and I mean, he's a little old bitty thing, so I figure he's more excited about it now than he was then, but we hadn't even told him it might snow, because that's the worst thing in the world is to think it's going to snow and then it don't. It's rare that we really get snow here. We probably come near getting some ice, is what I figure. I really I hadn't been on Facebook much in the last few days, Larry. I don't know how he is. He had a surgery, I know, this week, and they said that did go well. I don't know the details on it. So they did some surgery. I'm not sure what. And my uncle's eyes is starting to get somewhat better. He can see to get around. They've done a couple surgeries on him, and he's staying with my mom and dad. But now he still can't see good enough to really do anything, but he can get around the house now. At one time, he was feeling his way around. Tony Parker, that's what I knew there was a difference. I didn't know what it was, but I knew the new wasn't nothing like them old inner tubes. And the reason I know that, my daddy had an old truck tire inner tube that he had bought when I was a young'un that was throwed in a shed, and that's what we kept it to cut strips off of to make slingshots as a young'un. And I don't know, that got thrown away over after I growed up, I'm sure. And now we got to using these bicycle inner tubes, and I mean, they'll work, but not nothing the same. So I thought about ordering on Temu. It's that round tube, and I thought, well, another thing is if I needed to use it for a tourniquet or something, it I don't know. I think you need one of them actual tourniquets if you're going to need it, and I need to get me a real tourniquet just to have in a bag as much as I'm chopping with axes and enough, but most of the time I ain't away from where I can't get back to the house, you know. Backyard Beasley got shot with a 308 in the chest. My Lord. It's a wonder he pulled through that. Man, y'all see what that 270 short mag done to that deer? I mean, it tore the inside, them front part of them ribs up. And that deer, I guess when it took that first step, I shot it in front of that front shoulder, but that other front shoulder on the other side must have been coming forward because it come out behind it. And I just knew I'd destroyed the heart, but it didn't. But it made a mess out of everything else around it. That's why she didn't run no further than she did. So I can imagine a man getting shot with a 308 in the chest. If he'd have had one of them plastic tip bullets like I was using, I'd hate to think. We may have to pull out the slingshot, y'all, and make a slingshot shooting video, because I love a slingshot. I really do. I just hadn't focused on, hey, let's shoot slingshot, but you can set up a Coca-Cola can and shoot at it. What is a good distance for a slingshot? Because I used to shoot, I didn't never shoot, I don't think, 20 yards. I think I shoot probably 10 or 15 yards. I don't know, but if you're going to make a video, what is an acceptable distance to say, hey, this fella is decent or not decent, you know? What would be an average slingshot range, I guess is what I want to know for other people. T.A. Davis Outdoors, you make YouTube videos because you enjoy it. I'll be honest with you, I started this channel because I got to think about my grandpa was a trapper. And he he knew how to trap mink. Now, we don't have very many mink here now, but back then we did. And I asked my dad, I said, well, what did he do? And he said, I don't remember. He said he used a brown paper sack. So he always carried a brown paper sack with him, but I don't know what he done with it. And he could catch a mink. Well, I've since, I think, figured out what he was doing by some other people that had a technique. And what they was doing was taking a brown paper sack, putting it over the pan in the water and sprinkling mud over it, and it would hide that whole trap, and that paper sack would get wet and soft, and it would not stop the trap from working. The next thing is a smokehouse. Everybody around here had a smokehouse. Well, nobody now knows how they worked them. They don't, the temperatures were probably a little different then, but they don't remember the process. I remember, Mom and Daddy having a smokehouse, and I remember us keeping a fire going in it, but I don't remember what they did. And I thought, if they had filmed that stuff, which they didn't have cameras in, obviously, but I'm just saying, if it'd been on film, I would love to go back and watch stuff my grandpa did. And I got thinking, I could film my life, and my kids and grandkids could come back one day and watch it. And that was the initial beginning of it. And then I just enjoyed filming and just kept doing it. And another thing is, there was a few things that we do here that's a little different than other parts of the country. And I wanted to share some of the things that we had learned, and it just grew from that. But it's about documenting your life. I thought about the other day, I was like, I'll be able to go back one day and watch Brody as a kid once he's grown. Be like, he was a kid, look there. Because I'll lose my computer photo. We've lost my daughter's, some of her baby pictures because computers crashed or whatever. We didn't have it backed up like we should have. And you go back to YouTube and those videos will be there. You can always go back and watch them. And I try to get clips of my mom and dad. They don't like to be on camera much, but I try to sneak pictures of them on there because that'll be memories one day that I'll go back and cherish. So, yeah, it's about documenting your life where you can go back and enjoy it too, but it's also about just sharing good times, a lot of fun. It's like tonight, I have met a lot of wonderful people. I mean, there's a lot of y'all that are great people. Now, I mean, just before I started this live, I had to deal with some negative comments because somebody got aggravated because I was using the standard measuring system yesterday when I was talking about how wide my firebox was. They couldn't understand why we couldn't all use the metric system. People's crazy, but for the most part, I have a lot of great people that watch this channel, so I ain't going to complain about a few negative comments. You're going to get that in life. For all good things, I have got a few videos, but I need to make some better videos. The key to tanning something, number one, is when you kill it, make sure it is fleshed good. In other words, on the inside of the skin, the meat side of it, make sure the meat's all off, but also that thin layer of membrane has to be removed. That way your tanning solution can penetrate. Then salt it down and dry it out good, and that sets a hair. If you're doing buckskin, it don't really matter how you handle it. You need to throw it in something and let it speed up the rot, basically, and do both sides. But then you just putting in a tanning solution and working it in. And once that tanning solution starts to get dry, you got to stretch it and work it. And any hide tanning is labor intensive. It's just a lot of work. That's all there are to it. But it's rewarding. See, Joe Douglas, I don't even know who Kalen DeBoer is. Never heard of him, but I did hear somebody say something about somebody from up through there. But they'll pick a good coach. I mean, they ain't gonna let just anybody go over there and coach. But no, he won't never be Nick Saban or Bear Bryant, I don't imagine. Which nobody ever thought Nick Saban was gonna be Bear Bryant, and he outdone him. So I mean, it's crazier things have happened, but. I mean, what's the chances of Alabama getting the third greatest coach ever was? I don't see that ever happening. They probably won't never return to their former glory. But it's possible. You'll take the snow, but don't want no ice. Now the power goes out when we get ice here. And I figured that's why I went and filled up gas. I hauled my buggy to town and filled it up, filled the truck up, and then I could fill my 2 gas cans up where they was still full. That way I could use them for a generator, was my thinking. I didn't want to go fill up a gas can, come home and pour it right in the buggy, and then, well, my can's empty. Somebody asked me why I was hauling, not on here, somebody locally here asked, why are you hauling that to town to fill it up? Why don't you just take a can? Well, that was the reason. But yeah, we'll get ice, the power will go out. 10 to 15 yards, good slingshot shooting. That's what we'll start with. Sean Deaver, better late than never. I'm glad some folks is working. I've smeared around, ain't done nothing. Tennessee Smoky, I got plenty of ball bearings. I've took that Polaris Ranger apart. I got a cereal bowl out there full of bearings. I got plenty of ammo for a slingshot from working on a Polaris. I don't know what millimeter they are. I had to go by the standard. They had to be like a 1/4 inch or 3. Y'all know why I did that, don't you? Yeah, Tennessee Smoky, that's what we've got. Them kind of, they got one I've been seeing that's got the 3 rubber bands on each side. I thought about getting me one. I may have to do that. I better buy it fast before somebody else buys it and sends it to me. Charlie Pickle says, my saying has always been if they are talking about me, they're leaving somebody else alone. I'll have to remember that one. I'll have to remember that one. You're right. You're right. Have I tanned any hides with leaves or willow bark? I have not. I have never done any bark tanning. Mike Reed has a video on bark tanning, and there's another fellow that's got some. I have never tried it. I do want to do it. I've just not done it. Eric, I have fleshed one hide with a pressure washer. It works really good. And then now our pressure washer won't crank. And I pulled the oil. I was going to check the oil in it the other day. And when I unscrewed the oil dipstick, it just started gushing out. It's full of gas. So I got to figure out why it's full of gas. I don't know what. I figured the carburetor was stuck open and it just sat there and run into the cylinder and seeped around the piston. And that's my guess. So I don't know. I didn't have time to worry with it. I just stuck a plug back in it and act like I didn't see it and walked on. I don't wash much with it, but I was fleshing a hide and it worked good for that. And I've only done one. Deer jerky video. Lee, I struggle to get enough deer meat because when we make deer jerky out of it, it's just like it's gone. Now go back and look at last year. I've got a jerked venison. I think I entitled it Mountain Man Jerked Venison, and I made it in my smokehouse. I did it. It was good too, and it lasted because it had a real smoky flavor. It lasted longer than what I make on a dehydrator. Every time I have ever made it on a dehydrator, we put it in a Ziploc bag and seal it up. Well, it'll have a little bit of moisture in there because we don't cook it till it's like crunchy hard. And in about 2 weeks, it starts getting mold on it. And that I did that I smoked, it didn't spoil. I kept it in a Ziploc bag for a long time out there just to see how long it'd last. But now, it's hard for me to have it because Roscoe eat every bit of it up. Brenda, that's the way to do it. That's like washing your car, and then it'll rain after you do that. You put your generator in. Now the power won't never go out. You'll get to use it before it's over with. Wait till the tornadoes hit in the spring. That's when you'll use it. And that's when you want it, because by then we done got hot and need the air conditioner down here. I can make it without heat just about it, because it don't very seldom gets as cold as it's gonna get this week. But like all last week, it was warmed up. We didn't build a fire in here. We run a little old bitty electric heater for a little bit, because you build a fire, it'll run you out of here. And I ain't got a fire going right now, but now she's running an electric heater in there. When I get through the live, I'll probably go build a fire. I don't know. I struggle getting up in the middle of the night to put wood on it. That's one of the things I struggle with. Tennessee Smoky, I can make rocks. I have been making some slingshot ammo and I hadn't really finished it, but I can take them scraps of clay and roll them up in a ball, and I put them in a cereal bowl and bisque them, run them through that, and I can make as fine a slingshot ammo as you want. I just hadn't made a lot of it, and we might incorporate that into a slingshot series. We'll see. I ain't gonna try to actually hunt with it, cause I guess we could probably shoot a rabbit pretty easy. Have to get a light where you can get close enough to one. I have not used fabric softener on hides. Well, Matt Orr, they got that roll of stuff on Temu that was very cheap. I'm probably going to eventually order a roll of it just so I can say, hey, we can make slingshots out of this, or no, you can't. I don't know. We'll see. After we've done got to discussing, I'll have to do a slingshot series just to get out and shoot the slingshot. Glenn Forrester, I don't know that I remember any of that. Monkeys out of peach pits. I had a coconut that was carved into a monkey, but now they bought it somewhere. My mom and them had it, and I think they had made a piggy bank. I think it had a slot cut in the top, and you could drop quarters in it. But not a peach pit. I don't reckon I've seen that. Gary Chambers, you cut the lower hock like between the ankle and the first knee, or whatever joint that is. You know, I think I think Don Lanier's the one told me about that, and I did that video last year. I got a video of me cooking them on my electric smoker. And I took an aluminum pan, I put that Italian dressing and something else in there, and I put them jokers in there and just left them open, let them smoke a couple of hours, and then covered them up. And man, there's a lot of flavor in that bone as you cooking it, and people don't realize how much flavor is in a bone. I guess. Well, I'm gonna have to look up the peach pit monkeys. I don't reckon I have seen one. I've got to check this out. Let's see here. Let me pull it up. I'll pull it up on this computer. We'll see what they are. Well, y'all, look at him. How can I blow this up where it's big enough that you can see? Well, sir. I want to know if I'm over 18. I ain't. If I got to be over 18 to look at it, I ain't got no business seeing it. Well, I was going to try to zoom this in where y'all could... I tell you what I do. I just bring y'all over here and turn you down. That is a peach pit monkey. Y'all ain't never seen as such as that. Let me back up. There was several of them. Well, it ain't gonna back up, is it? Well, y'all get shook around there a little bit. It don't never cooperate when I want to do something in the spur of the moment, but that's the first peach pit monkey I ever seen. Larry, Italian dressing and Dale's seasoning is my go-to. Now, I will say this. I watched, William Collins, knife maker in Texas, and I watched him put pineapples in beef ribs. I've put pineapples in something else. Well, I've got a can of pineapples down there, and I'm wanting to put them in with a rabbit. I usually do my rabbits with a lot of lemon flavor, so I like, some fruity, different stuff. And I'm going to try some pineapple with a rabbit. Quarter that rabbit all up, put it in a Dutch oven. May put some potatoes in there with it and cook it, and I want to see what that is. Deer neck roast is excellent. I agree. They ain't no part of the deer that I don't like. I can eat all of it. So I'll find a way to cook every part of it. In the ribs, I have struggled with ribs. But this year, I had some ribs I cut last year off of a deer, and I had cut them up to grill, and I have grilled them, and I can eat them, but that tallow on it gets just chalky tasting. It's hard to deal with. It's hard to get it all off of it before you cook it. I boiled them things down in that stew this year. I cooked stew. You asked Tommy Litchfield if I ain't lying. Him and Kyle can tell you he was there, and J.R. Willis and them can tell you. That stew was fine, and it had them deer ribs in there. I boiled them off. Them deer ribs is where you just throw the whole rib off in there. Don't cut it into short. Just put the whole rib cage. In fact, we may do one this coming week, because my wife said, it's cold, I want a stew. I may get out there and cook a stew off some of them deer ribs that I got, because it's still in the cooler. I'm still swapping out water bottles in there. It's still aging. We'll take a whole rib cage, throw it in a pot, we'll make a stew. And that's what the ribs are good for. So they ain't no part of that deer that I can't find out a way to cook and make it fit to eat. But now that neck roast is good. I think I damaged this one up the other day pretty good. Yeah, Danita Randolph, we've always marinated steaks in Italian dressing. Put them in there in that Ziploc bag and pour that Italian in there, and then take that Ziploc bag and drop it down in a sink full of water so it pushes the air out of it. Make sure that way you ain't got to use so much when you marinate, and you just get enough that it really goes around that steak. That Ziploc bag, you kind of like vacuum sealing it when you dip it down in that water. Seal it off and lay it in the refrigerator for a couple of hours. I tell you another trick about a steak. You take your fork and poke it holes all in it with a fork and put you some kiwi fruit in there on it. That kiwi fruit will tenderize that steak. Tommy Litchfield, speaking of the devil, we was just talking about you. Tell them how good that stew was with them deer ribs in it. That's what I was telling them. You missed me talking about you. You heard me, that's why you're here. Joey, how are you, Laser Addict? Y'all, Laser Addict, that's Joey. That's the one been sending me all the cool laser etch stuff. He'd get you a cup like this. I've linked him in them videos. I put his email and stuff down there. Y'all call him. He'll get you a cup like this made. Somebody was asking about a tag. He'd fix you up with all that stuff. Rick James, that deer meat is fine fried. That is a good meal. But I'm gonna tell y'all, running at a bad close, I like to take that hind quarter, and the way I separated it off of that bone, from that way it's cut, I cut that middle muscle out, and I'll cut me a steak about 1.5 inches thick, and put it on there and cook it and leave it rare in the middle. Y'all, with some garlic, salt, lemon, pepper on it. You cook it in a skillet. Basically, just sear the edges of it. Oh, man. Make a puppy pull a freight train. Keith Bingham said, Larry, I think the Moores is better than Dale's. I like Moore stuff. Moore's is good. I like the Dale's because I like a lot of salt. I like that salty flavor. It's not for everybody, and I know all you that's got medical issues that don't need a lot of sodium. It probably ain't a good thing, but now they do make a low sodium Dale's. It's got a green label instead of red, but that is why I like the Dale's. But now the Moore's is good, and they is several other. I'm gonna tell you something else as far as I don't eat a lot of steak sauce like 57 and Heinz and all. But I call it tiger juice. It's got a tiger on there. I don't remember exactly what the name is. It's tiger something. But it's about the only thing I like to use, and it's spicy. Cindy Evans said, put the deer ribs in a crock pot with barbecue sauce and let it cook all day. Cindy, do you try to get the tallow out, or does it pretty well melt and render down and you done with it? I'm assuming in the crock pot it's going to render and drain out of the ribs, and that's why you can. Because when you boil it in the stew, it turned out good for that. So. Yeah, Vicky, we'll all be wanting a ham sandwich in a minute. We'll all be starving to death. My wife cooked some chicken wings, what I had. I love chicken wings now. I am a chicken wing fanatic. And I ain't talking about hot wings. I just like wings in general. I like them fried. Probably fried's my favorite. I eat fried chicken wings for dessert. Maiden 13, it ain't nothing to throw all the table scraps, chicken meat scraps or stuff out there. I throwed fish heads in there to my chickens, and they'll pick them pretty clean. They won't hardly eat the scale part, but they'll eat. Underground said he's still eating a roadkill doe. I watched old Mr. Shoe up there on log cabin looms pick up deer. He'll be running that motor grader and pick up deer off the side of the road. But he's up there where they froze solid anyway. It ain't burnt. Up there in North Dakota. So, Vicky, you cut the tallow all off of it before you put the ribs in the crock pot, I'm assuming. See, there's a layer down in there. It's hard. It's just a struggle to get it all cut out. Sean Devers, I put a straw in Dale's. I'm with you, buddy. I'm with you on that. I like the Moores too. I'm not one of them people that's like I've got to be a diehard one brand. I'll try anything a time or two, and I find that most things I can deal with. I'm one of them people that if I go to a restaurant and I order a steak and it comes out there and it ain't just exact way I like it, I eat it and think, well, that was good. You know, and some people, oh man, this is the best aspect. If it's done, I'll eat it. Now, I like mine a little more rare, but I, so when we start talking about sauces and seasonings, I'm not real picky. That's why I guess I have grown to learn to cook with different things because I'll try this. And I'll tell you another thing about me. When I get ready to cook, like if I'm sitting here and I'm hungry and they ain't nothing like, I'll go in there first thing and start getting all the leftovers and I'll eat all the leftovers up. I finished off a plate of spaghetti. We had spaghetti in there from the other night, from last night, I guess, in a skillet in there on the stove, had the lid on it, and I eat it for breakfast because it was sitting there. It was just, why throw it away, you know? It was good. It was a good spaghetti. So I'll do that. But then when I get to the refrigerator, if there ain't no leftovers, well, what have we got? Okay, there's an egg here. There's some onion over here. Well, there's some sausage. I'll just scramble up everything, put it in the skillet, and cook it. So whatever's there, I'll figure out how to make a meal out of it. Sometimes it has been like, well, that was all right, but it wasn't that good. And then sometimes like, man, I'm on to something with this. And Marty Wallington, I watch that guy. My only thing is he goes overboard with politics. Now, he's pretty sharp and he keeps up with everything going on and he's usually pretty accurate. I just get sick of it. I don't like to listen. I don't like politics. I just don't like it. I mean, everybody's got an opinion and most all of them ain't worth a flip, you know. I mean, they ain't nothing none of us can do about nothing going on for the most part. Because if we could, somebody'd have done it. But I like his old truck, him fooling with it and cutting firewood. And I mean, he's constantly cutting froze firewood in the snow. But he don't do as much getting out and doing stuff as he used to. Now he just sets the camera down looking at something and sits there and talks. And sometimes I'm in a mood to listen to it and sometimes I ain't. Weston didn't tell you he was asleep before he shot his deer. Well, I ain't gonna frown on him because at least he's asleep in a deer stand. Most of these young'uns today sitting at the house with an iPad in front of them, and that's all they do. They don't even want to go to the deer stand. So I have took many a good nap at a deer stand. I woke up one time. I was pretty young. I woke up and it was black dark, and I said, "Oh Lord." Which I wasn't far from the house back in them days. Don't be eating them froze deer like on Cold Mountain. Sammy Carlisle, you gone on us. Have a good night. Sean Deaver, I have picked up several roadkill deer. Some I hit, and if it ain't just mashed all up, it usually ain't hurt. Even when they look like they bloodshot, I will take and soak in water, and it'll soak a lot of that stuff out of it, and you're gonna run that meat through something to tenderize it anyway. Now if the guts are busted into the meat, I'm not gonna open that up. That rib cage and all that inside stuff's gonna stay put. I'm not if it's damaged. So yeah, but now the hindquarters is very rarely are they gonna be hurt unless they've been run over and mushed to nothing. Cause usually you gonna hit the front end of that deer. It depends on which end he's hit on, or if you dead centered him, probably ain't none of it no good. But me and my dad, we had one. We were coming back from Tom Bigby River, and one come across the road and hit the front of the boat, that War Eagle, and its head hit the boat trailer, and it spun it around, and there was nothing damaged but the head. We loaded it up and brought it home. Jubal Jr., the I am Simone Cross, I have not pushed any egg laying, so I have not tried to hatch any of those birds yet. End of this month, I'll go cut my lights on. I cut them on, was fooling a little bit, and got them started laying, and then I cut the lights back off. I was like, you know what? Let these birds have their break, and that way I ain't got to pump food into them and all this stuff all winter long. Let them have their break, and then I'll start the end of this month. I'll start turning lights on and go back and getting ready for them to get started because I want them wide open laying in March. And usually it'll take most of February for them to get really kicked off. And I really like to be hatching over at the end of March. Because we'll get some bad cold weather during March. First part of March, we'll have cold spells here. Underground Customs, if I cut into a steak and it ain't a little blood run out of it, I'm like, why'd y'all burn it? Why'd y'all burn it up? You got to talking on the phone. You got to watching Facebook, Instagram reels and forgot you was cooking, didn't you? Yeah, I'll eat it though. You don't say nothing. I ain't wanting to go to smarting off to the cook. You know, I might not like it. I might wait till I'm done eating and go, well, you know, a little tough. I had a cousin came up here from Louisiana. They was from like Slidell, somewhere down there in Mississippi, or I don't know right where. I think they may have been in Bay St. Louis at the time, but they lived in New Orleans for a while. But anyway, they come up here. He came up and spent like a whole summer up here. He was pretty well grown, up, 19, 20 years old then. And I was young. He stayed with my brother now. So my brother's wife cooked this big German chocolate cake. I think it was German. She cooked a big cake. And she just, so we'd have a snack while he was there. He was staying with them for about a week. Come in one day and that whole cake was gone. He ate the whole thing. So, didn't matter, wasn't no big deal, but it's kind of, he ate the whole thing and must have liked that. She said, well, Ken, was that cake good? He said, well, it was a little rich. He done eat the whole cake, but it really wasn't that good. Usually if I go to a restaurant and my order's all messed up, if I can eat it, I'll go ahead and eat it. I don't worry about it because that's sending food back and then you're not going to take my food back to the kitchen and come out and make smart dog. You know they spit on it. I don't. I ain't going to do that. Anyway, let me get on down to what Marty Williams don't listen to politics. Yeah, I don't do politics. I don't want nothing to do with it. Leave that mess alone. Leave it off of a YouTube channel. If you speak up on your opinion on politics, you'll lose half your audience. I don't care what you do. That's like Taylor Swift come out and go, well, I mean, there'll be half of her people that love her for it, and then there'll be, another 50% be like, well, that's it. I'm done with her. I mean, why does people that are not in politics think that they need to tell you who they gonna vote for? I always thought it really wasn't none of your business who I voted for. Why I ought to tell I mean, now everybody feels like they need to tell you who you ought to vote for and who they voting for. And these other people think, oh, well, so they voted for them, so that's who I'm gonna vote. No, that ain't how it works. Anyway, I don't like to even listen to the mess. I'll be honest with you, I don't like none of them. I really don't. I don't think none of them's up there trying to help me. I think they're up there to help them. That's who they're there to help. Glenn Forrester cold pizza for breakfast ain't bad. I have to tell you, it ain't. That's usually when it's the best. Tiger sauce. Yeah, Vicky, that's it. I call it tiger juice. Can't hang 10 inches of snow saying 13 more coming. By the time I finish up my plow ride, everything drifts shut, starts all over. Up north, get on that plow and get at it. Make that money. Make that money while it's there to be made. Then when it's pretty weather, you can take off and go fishing. That's how that works. Underground custom, I have took my wife or me fishing, hunting a couple of times. I have never killed a deer with her with me. No. Jubal, I'll keep when I start breeding them and get babies out of there. I'll have videos on the babies hatch because I'm not gonna raise a lot of chickens this year. So I'm going because I want to be able to go fishing. I'm gonna do a lot of fishing this year. I'm already excited about fishing. I mean, I'm wanting to go buy fishing poles, and I got more poles than I can tote now. In fact, I ordered 2 from Temu. Never had bear meat. I'd love to try bear, elk, and any of that stuff. We don't go off enough to afford to go out there and hunt any of it. Black bear hunt. I just put that. I want to go hunt a black bear. I'll shoot it with whatever I got to shoot it with. Muzzle loader, bow, whatever. I'd rather shoot it probably with a rifle, but especially being my first one, because I don't know much about bears, but I'd love to have black bear. Never tried it, never tasted it. Keith Brigham, that's what I'm talking about. They ain't no need leaving a good deer laying on the side of the road. Tommy Litchfield said, you smart off the wrong cook, you'll get first-hand experience on whether or not they dip snuff or not. It ain't worth the risk. No, if I got a problem with the food, I just won't go back there and eat. If I can't deal with that place's food, I just won't go back. I'm not going to go smart off and tell them what all. That's like people commenting on my videos about the metric system and standard measurements or how I tie my bandana or whether I got it on my head or not. They ain't around long enough to find out what I thought about it because they're not going to change my mind for the most part. So, I ain't going to go mouth off to the people cooking food. If I don't like it, I just won't go back there. That's how that works. Tommy Litchfield, I used to dip stuff with the best of them, but I don't really want to dip somebody else's stuff. Oh, Lord. Marty, them 30, can you believe the price of anything now? I went and filled up my truck and a buggy and 2 gas cans and spent $100. But now that ain't nothing. Here a few years ago, I was there and I spent 150 on just a truck one time. It had gas had got up so high. Everything's out of sight now. I mean, I went and looked at fishing poles the other day. No reel, just a pole. $100 for the cheapest one. I said, my God. I mean, what they making them out of? I have to go back to cutting cane. I got 2 canes hanging down there. I'm going to make me a pole out of one of them. Yeah, Chris, I ain't had no whole lot of success. I did kill one deer one day. I had some boys with me. Because when I got the truck in reverse and I was backing up, I said, hand me the rifle, hand me the rifle. And he poked it out the window for me, and I grabbed it and shot it. That was back in my wilder days. I don't recommend doing that today. Have I hunted and eaten alligator? I can't speak on that on camera. I have tasted alligator before. But we have seasoned here by draw, and I went on an alligator hunt last year with some other people, and we never did catch one, and they was on the Ross Barnett Reservoir, and I didn't know nothing about what was going on, or the equipment, or the method, or nothing. I mean, I could have shot and killed an alligator, but you can't. You have rules about how you can harvest it, and I understand why, because there's people in boats all over that place. You couldn't shoot nowhere down there. It ain't like if I see one down here in the swamp, I could shoot him with a rifle. Trout fishing. Tennessee, we don't have any trout here. Now, Mr. Don Lanier invited me to go with him last year up to the Cumberland River and trout fish, and I just never could get worked loose where I could go up there while he was up there. He hadn't invited me to go this year, so I don't know. I may go, though, before it's over with. Backyard Beasley, I think me and you got the same problem. I have got to come up with a way to organize all my fishing poles and a place to do it with. And my shed is done got over cumbered. Cynthia Hubble, I ain't gonna upset no cook too much. Number one, if somebody else is cooking my food, I'll eat whatever they cook and eat it. Now, I have eaten at some places with some old boys that they constantly ask, "That's good, ain't it? That's good." And I had old chicken wing, and I was desperately trying to separate it, and it wouldn't separate. I said, "Yeah, it's good." Pulling that meat off that chicken wing like that. Next time he said, "We cooking." Well, I'm gonna be busy tonight. You ever harvested many crayfish out of the swamp? Not eating size. I have raked up at certain times of the year in certain areas for bait. I get a lot of bait with a rake basket. This past year, I made several traps that I was going to try to trap crawfish. I don't really know exactly how to go about it. Some of the areas that I had planned on doing that, I put a test basket out and never caught one. So I don't know how I need to go about doing that. I think they're there. I don't really know much about catching them. I watched Bob Hansler do it some. He was pretty good at catching them and cooking them. I've not had a good place. There was one duck pond down here, but now they drained it. So I need to go talk to these folks. I think I've got permission after deer season's over to get on their property, and I could probably get some if the water has back up. But now last year all of it was drained down low. The beavers had not built the dams back, so not really yeah, there's no trout here. Our water gets too hot and muddy here. All the water here is shallow and very hot in the summer. Trout won't live here. You got 8 boats and just sold 2. I was talking with a guy in Jackson that owns a boat marine or works at a boat marine company. I was looking at boat motors. I was actually pricing new boat motors. my dad was wanting to buy an electric start boat motor, and they about $4,500. I found out for a 25 horse. But now we've got that War Eagle. But anyway, we're talking about, I was counting up how many boats we had. I was like, my Lord, we got more boats than we shake a stick at. I got a kayak, I got 2 canoes, I've got a John boat, and then we've got the War Eagle, and I've got a Skeeter. So we've got 6 boats. You know, 3 of them use kayaks, but still they're boats. So I've got all kind of ways to float around, but that War Eagle has got a 25 horse. It needs about a 60 horse on it, really. And I thought about if I could convert that Mercury that's on it to a tiller steer, I would just mount it on my John boat and use it. It's electric start, everything, but I don't know what it costs to convert that over to tiller steer. I mean, if I could order the kit, I could do it myself. And then we would buy a motor. But you know what a motor costs to put on that, like a 75 or whatever, 60 horse? They like $12,000. I was like, you know, that 25 runs good on that boat. Just ain't very fast. I have never ate carp. But after I seen them fish that we caught down there on the Hayes caught down there. Davis Hayes, we caught him on the what was that? I'm trying to think of what the fish was we caught. Redfish? Is that what it was? Something. I can't remember. Caught out of the Gulf, and I'm like, man, that's a carp. That is a saltwater carp. No, this is good film. Like, it looks just like them suckers we got up there in the creek. We call them gaspergouls. Oh, I think a gaspergoul is actually a buffalo. But we've got the grass carp and all that, which we don't have the Asian carp in this water system, but now there ain't any of the other waters around here that's bigger. I think they're further down the Pearl. But I have never actually ate the carp that we have here, no. Gator tail, yum yum. How would you cook a carp? These what we call the suckers. I don't know what. I mean, you just fillet it and fry it. I would love to be able to go down here and put out some baskets and catch my own crawfish. I love crawfish, but now they too high. Us poor folks don't eat them no whole lot. I'm gonna come down there and catch me one of them 14-inch crappies is what I'm gonna do. You keep talking about them and you're gonna look up and I'm gonna be sitting outside your door in my truck revving the motor up going, let's go. Chris. Chris said you rotisserie the carp on a stick over an open fire, then take the stick out, throw away the carp, and eat the stick. I figure you probably right. I figure you probably right. However, I'll try anything 2 or 3 times just to make sure that I didn't just foul up the first 2 times. I hadn't eaten possum yet. I have tried coon a time or 2. Catch 6-pound crappie on 4-pound test up here in Kentucky. Sean Deaver. I'm throwing a flag on that one. I done throwed the flag. Matter of fact, I need some more flags to throw. Where's me some more flags? 6-pound crappie on 4-pound test line. Let me throw another flag on that. Where's some more flags? Oh, Lord, Lord, Lord. I appreciate that. You made my night with that. I really do. I got plenty flat. I got bandanas all over everywhere. I better put them up. I need them on to cover up my gourd. Oh, Lord, Lord, Lord. Made my night with that. Backyard got 3 sneak boats, foot control trolling motors, 1 kayak, 1 Pelican bass rotor, 1 green, 1 Gino. I don't know what the Gino is. 14-foot John boat, 16-foot lake boat. I'm wanting to build me a P-road. I like a P-road. Well, Jimmy Sullivan, what I need to build, and I swore I wasn't going to start no projects this year. I got a bathroom that I need to finish this year, on and off. But it's inside and I can work on it whenever I want to and walk off of it when I need to. Last year I started out with a camper. I built the camper. I had the shed, the back patio I was building. I had my truck I was working on. I had the buggy I had problems I had to work on. I had so much stuff that I had to do on my extra time when I wasn't making pottery. I didn't get to do nothing. I said I wouldn't start nothing this year, but what I need to build is a pottery shop. And if I got all that pottery mess out of my shed, then I would have places to put all my fishing gear. And I had it all in there like I wanted it to begin with. And then the pottery took over my shed. That's what happened. Hopefully I'll get my... Well, now, I'll tell you another thing. I may have a little building that I can use for a storage building because my dad is finna build a bigger reloading building, and that little small building he's got, it ain't but about 6 foot wide and about 10 foot long, and it's kind of odd shaped. He basically is shaped like a T, and I make him put some of my fishing gear and stuff that I'm just storing in it and make some room. But I'm steadily gaining you never quit buying gear for whatever reason. I always feel like I need some new gear. I guess every time you get excited about something, you want to buy something that has to do with it. I don't know. It's like this fishing stuff. I got more fish bait down there, y'all, that I'll fish with the rest of my life. And every time I go to Walmart or the co-op up here, I'm over in the fish baits looking, well, I need some more of these, which I have found some jigs that I really like, that I've had success with, and I keep a stock of them up, but you always see something new that's out and go, oh, I want to try that, see if that'll work. So. Green hoe is like a canoe but squared off at the back. Okay. We called it a kayak. Canoe. But it had a flat back. Mine was 13.6 P-row I had, David, and I bought it down in La Rose, Louisiana. It was a good one. Outdoors deadhead, I'll be honest, my problem with the possum ain't really the taste, and I'll probably try possum at some point. I'll have to, just to say I did it. But I have walked by too many dead cows laying in a pasture and be shining the light at it going, what is that moving? And see an eye, and then old big old possum come crawling out of it, and I'm like, At least a raccoon is washing his food in the creek down there and eating crawfish and little shiners. He picks bear. He'll come eat my corn and such as that. I can handle that. But that possum eating that dead animal, I mean, that's like eating a buzzard. I just can't imagine buzzard tasting good. Talking about buzzard, let me tell y'all this tale. Back several years ago, way before I started a YouTube channel, I was running trap. I had just got into trapping, and I was excited about it. I didn't know nothing about what I was doing, what I needed to use for bait, or I just went at it. I didn't have nobody to teach me nothing. I've learned everything I know by trial and error. That's how I know mine works, because I done tried everything that don't work. And I had built this big old cage trap, and I had the door rigged up where the door raised outside and dropped down, and I'd bent some old junk around to catch and hold it, and I done had 2 or 3 probably bobcats or something tore out of it, maybe coons, possum, I don't know. I said, man, stuff keeps getting out, so I kept tinkering with it, adjusting this, changing that, and I think I had a nylon string running in there to the door to trip it, and I mean, it was a god-awful setup. I wouldn't be proud to show it to you not knowing. I went down there one day, and I had baited it up with some old fish heads, or I don't remember what I had put in there. I had thrown some scraps of something in there. And y'all may lose y'all. That phone says it's dying. And I went down there to check my trap one morning, and there's a big old buzzard up in my trap. Not only was there a buzzard in there, it had laid an egg in there. I sat on my four-wheeler looking at this and just died laughing. I laughed till my sides hurt. I had a buzzard with an egg, and I thought about old Az Lee. Old Ben D. Lauder, he was hauling putwood, and they cut a tree down and had a buzzard nest in there. He said, I'm going to play a joke on old Az Lee. He said, she's got a goose that's setting some eggs. And he said, I know them eggs ain't going to hatch. But he said, I'm going to take these buzzard eggs and I'm going to slide them under that goose and let them sit there and see what happens. And he did that. And he forgot about it. So one day after, he said, well, Az Lee said, did your goose hatch her eggs? And she said, no. Said that goose wouldn't hatch them eggs. She said, I fried them for your breakfast day before yesterday. Yeah, we probably losing power. It's popped up twice saying that the battery is dying. And they stole my charger. They got it off in yonder charging up something. I may have to go get it. But it's 9 o'clock. I'm probably going to have to shut this down here in a little bit anyway, because I need to go build a fire in yonder before it gets bad cold tonight. Chickens would eat the dead cow too. Glenn, you ain't wrong. You ain't wrong. I'll tell you. No, I left that buzzard egg in that trap. I think I rolled it out on the ground. I let the buzzard out. I turned it loose. Y'all, I caught a buzzard one day in a foot trap. I did. I don't know what it was after. I guess it had smelt some, I don't know what it done, but I got down there and there was a buzzard in my foot trap. And it had tore its foot all up, and I had to shoot it. You ain't supposed to shoot them, but it was bad injured, and I couldn't just turn it loose, and it hurt like that. Underground, so when I come down there, I don't even need to bring a boat. I just fish out of one of yours. Yeah, it's getting that way here. I don't want more boats. I just want a good motor on them all. Thing. Don't have any clarets that I'm aware of. If I do, I don't know what they are. About the only thing I'm raising is them IM Samanis, the Mac Rays, and the Mule Train Grays. My Kelsos, I have not had good luck with them. I may try to let them raise this year. I don't know. But anyway, y'all, I am fixing to turn this off. We have had a good time. We've shared some laughs, but they ain't no need in beating a dead horse and running this thing all night. I know we're supposed to have some cold weather all across the nation. I see single digits y'all talk about in all of these, especially up north. Y'all stay safe. If you get out in bad weather, I know a lot of y'all up there's got snow and all kind of ice, and you probably know more about how to prepare for that than I do. But when you get out, make sure you got what you need in your vehicle, that if you get shut down on the highway or snowed in somewhere or stuck, that you don't freeze to death. Keep you some food and such in there and whatever you need to be able to make do. But y'all be careful. Things could get bad before you know it. And let me tell you this, if you ain't got nothing but electric heat, come up with something. Go ahead and be thinking about something else for heat, just in case the power is out and use. Because, y'all, I've heard of so many people around here, the power go out, it froze for 2 weeks a couple of years ago, and people were about to freeze to death because they didn't have nothing but electric heat. All these new houses ain't got nothing but electric heat in them. Don't be stuck like that. Have a backup. Propane heaters, little buddy, something. You may have to shut everything off but one room of the house and stay in it. But y'all be careful in this cold weather. It could be deadly and just before you realize it. So think things through. I love y'all. I want everybody to be able to make it back the next time we do a live. Watch all my videos. I won't be losing no viewers over cold, freezing weather. And let me tell you this, y'all. If you got elders in your neighborhood, whether you like them or not, there's always that one older person that is off to themselves, don't nobody ever really know nothing about. Check on them, make sure they're all right. Because some of them, when people get older, they get curious and they get stingy and they won't buy heat, they won't buy gas, they just, it's the way people are. We all that way a little bit. Check on them, make sure they're all right. Make sure they ain't sitting there. Some of them don't even keep up with the weather, know what's going on. So keep a check on your neighbors around you if you know of anybody. But thank y'all for watching Spirit of the Outdoors tonight. We've had a good time. We've had the laughs. Get ready for fishing season coming on. Probably going to kill off all the gardens, so we're going to have to replant it here before long. I don't know what all's coming up. Looks like y'all have talked me into doing a slingshot review series. Maiden 13, welcome to the family. Danita, tell Mr. John died, and I said hello. I seen he called me earlier, a text. I'm going to have to get back up with him. I hadn't talked to him in a while. So I need to call him and check on him. But y'all have a good one. Remember, the best way to do things is the way you like to do it. We'll see y'all. Y'all have a good one.